Hello everyone, this is the Great Roberto coming at you live action. Okay, this is a trip report, but this is like, man, this is like no other trip report that I have ever had, because every other trip report in comparison to this is a fraud. Every one was a fucking fake compared to this, because this trip did what all the other trips were trying to do, but I just wouldn't let it. So, in what that was is pure ego death. Pure ego death. And the good news is, you know when you reach true ego death because it ends in a full body cosmic orgasm. Truthfully, And I mean that 100% literally. And that's done without getting hard, without touching your dick, and without busting a nut. So all the other videos that I made, especially the ones, when I'm talking about sexuality and mushrooms, I mean, no way, when you really get there, it just happens. I mean, right now, I smell like sex. Completely. I mean, you know that smell when you're with, when you're really, with someone. I smell like that. I smell like fucking sexuality. It's like, it's a scent that is fucking like nothing else. This brings me to a quick thing I want to comment on. Colognes and perfumes. I honestly believe, I've kind of thought this for a while, but I honestly believe that colognes and perfumes is a fucking fraud. A complete fraud perpetrated on mankind to fucking just sell the fragrance of sex, and it's a cheap fucking copy compared to the real thing. Because I use all natural deodorant. I use a natural stick deodorant, and sometimes I use like Tom's of Maine deodorant. There's Apra's all natural shit, but most of the time I use a natural unscented stick, so I don't have any scent, no cologne, no nothing on. And but so right now, with the experience I just went through, it's pure raw. That sexual scent is pure. It's like, it's the most purest scent there is. That sexuality, that sexual scent. And one more thing I want to add while I'm on this topic is your hands and your feet are sex organs, as much as your dick or pussy or tits or whatever, and your lips too. But your hands and your feet, especially your feet, are sex organs. I mean, that's not like it's not. That is 100% literal sex organs. And you know that when you get there. When you get to that ego death state. But let me comment on this trip. This was a complete accident. This wasn't supposed to happen like this today. I took 3 grams. I weighed up 3 grams, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in for a light trip. It's going to be fucking what I thought every other light trip would be, is kind of just skirt the edges of the experience, just to dance with it just a little bit, just to have fun with it and shit. But what happened today was just complete. This was even worse than the 6-gram trip I took. I mean, there's so much I want to say right now, but now let me explain something about this too. I think you gotta watch out for the, the gram hang-up. Taking just the grams. I mean, if you take 3 grams of caps in tiny little stems, and you're gonna have a really weak experience. But I took this trip today. I took a big fat mushroom, fucking huge. It was a big fat ripe stem with fucking blue veins running all through it. It's huge. The whole thing weighed like over 2.5 grams just by itself. And I just used a bunch of other pieces to round it up to 3. And it was nice and dry too. It was so fucking bad that it was so big that I couldn't fit it in my coffee grinder. So what I did, I snapped right in half, and I looked on the inside of it, and it was like fucking a hollow stem full of blue. It was like, oh my god, it was crazy. So I put that in the grinder, grind it up, and I poured like bottled juice of a lemon in it, you know. It soaked that for like 15 minutes before I downed it. And I downed the whole thing, solids and all. And I was just honestly, truthfully expecting it just to be a very light trip. I was expecting just to make a very light trip, and it was going along, man. Well, the thing was, I started to feel this really, really fast. It was like, wow, this is coming on fast. But in my mind, I was like, well, it doesn't matter what the fuck I feel now, because, you know, this is just going to be a light trip. You know, I mean, I didn't take enough to go into even anything close to mind, you know, ego dissolving shit. So I'm just going along, enjoying myself. I'm sitting here relaxing. I'm, you know, playing music, and then the trip just started to fucking get crazy, man. It just started to fucking, you know, it built up like a trip does, but it just kept building and building and building to the point where I'm like, what the fuck? I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck's going on? This isn't supposed to be happening. You know, I'm deep. I'm fucking deep into this trip, and I'm fucking fighting. It is fucking ripping me apart. Literally, this trip is ripping me the fuck apart. I'm like, what the fuck? So at one point, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, like, this is fucking nuts. I was just showing all this shit, you know, all the stuff like, oh, you know, you're such a rotten motherfucker, you know what I mean? You're such a rotten person. You do, you know, you treat people like shit. All this dark, negative shit. It's like, wait a minute, this is, and I'm saying to myself, I mean, wait a minute, I was just shown this shit, and I know I'm not that fucking bad. You know what I mean? So I'm saying this, so I'm like, why the fuck am I being shown this again? Because it's not like I'm that fucking bad. I honestly moved through life trying to be a good person and conscious of that and shit. So I'm like, why am I being shown this again? And then the question comes up, what about death? I was thinking about real death. Because I'm like, because everybody who takes psychedelics is going to come up against the death question, the real death, physical death question, somewhere in your travels. You're going to be like, fucking, yeah. And one of the things is like, how do I know this is fucking true? How do I fucking know any of this is fucking true? Because what happens if I fucking die, right? What happens if I fucking die? I mean, how do I know any of this is fucking real, right? And then my mind is like, then the trip is just going crazy. I'm doing everything I can to bring myself centered and grounded. I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is crazy. And I'm being shown, and it's reaching the point where my mind is being ripped and fucking, because every time I try to latch on to something, I'm like, fucking what? This is fucking, how do I know this is real? I'm like, how do I fucking know anything is real? I'm saying this shit. How the fuck do I know anything is real and it's saying it's not? It's fucking like, what? I was like, what the fuck? Then what do I latch on to? Yeah, and I'm like, and at one point I'm moving through this thing, I'm like, please give me something to fucking believe in, right? I'm like, fucking what is true? The fucking madness, dude. It was pure madness. What the fuck is real? What's true? You know, what is true? I don't know. It's like, what is real? I don't know. You know, I'm losing my fucking mind. And I'm thinking to myself, when does my mind snap? When does it finally fucking just go, fuck you, and just fucking snap, right? And this is where I am. Like, when does my mind break? There has to be a threshold to where my mind is fucking goes, fuck this. You know, there has to be, but where is it? And it's like, it's bound and determined to fucking push me there. It's like, where the fuck is it? Where is this threshold? And I'm going toward wherever this threshold is, like a fucking locomotive. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking, how? I can't die, but then I'm like, what if I do die? What happens then? And it's like, nothing. And it's like, fucking, you don't fucking die. It's like, what the fuck? And like, how do I know anything is real? I don't. Right? So finally, I'm like, this is like crazy. I'm begging to come off this shit. I'm like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm like, I have to, I would give anything, I'm thinking to myself, to come off this trip and not be tripping anymore. I would give anything to be normal again. I'm saying, I'm like, what the fuck is that? The world is just fucking wham. Everything is like crazy. It's like, fucking, what the fuck? There's nothing, my mind doesn't know what to believe. It's like, fucked. So finally, I'm like, oh my god, dude. I'm just going to go to fucking bed. I mean, but then again, now this, I want to bring this up. Now, either Terence McKenna was wrong in everything he fucking said. Now, I love Terence. He was a genius. But either he was wrong in everything he said, or he purposely said something to throw you off on purpose. And one of the things he said was, one of the things, I'm paraphrasing, but one of the things he said was, if things start to get fucking dark or crazy, one of the things you don't want to do is just curl up in bed and just into a fetal position like that. So I'm thinking of this shit, and it's like, man, I don't want to go in bed, because if I do, I'll go crazy. And for the first trip I took, it was like that. I was in bed, and I was like, in this hyper fucking insanity. What I thought was an ego death, but it wasn't. I was fighting it. And that, I just want to bring up a point here. In every other trip up until this one, everything that I thought was an ego death wasn't. It was me fighting it. It was trying to kill me with the ego death, but I was fighting it until the mushrooms just wore off. Basically, it was like this battle of my egoic mind versus the mushroom, and I'm fighting it, and I'm being fucking ripped apart at these high doses. And finally, the mushrooms basically we fucking give up. The mushrooms wear off. Fucking, kind of like that. And then I'm fucking moving around after this. Oh, I'm so enlightened. This is great. Wow, I had ego death. No way, dude. So now, I'm like, I'm losing. I mean, I'm going to the point where, how the fuck am I not gonna? Where is this threshold of my mind just breaking? It is like I was losing my mind. It was like literally losing my mind. I was like, I don't know what to believe. Existence is fucking. It's fucked. So finally, I just like, okay, I'm going to bed. I'm going in the fucking bed and just gonna pray that I fucking come off this shit. And then while I was in bed, lying in bed, of course, then the trip really started to turn into this like loop of just this fluid loop, and I was like, this is fucking nuts. This is fucking nuts. I mean, again, it's like the reality question. What's real is like, I can't fucking believe this. I'm gonna fucking die. This is fucking insane. My mind is gonna break. It's going to fucking break this time. It has to. So finally, I just said, fuck it. Let it break. Finally, I just fucking gave up. I was like, fucking. I said, fuck it. I just said, fuck this. Okay, fucking. I just ended up surrendering to it completely. I relaxed my body and just surrendered to it. And then it turned into this, slowly, it turned into this, like, complete divine sexual experience. I mean, ecstasy. Pure fucking ecstasy. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. And for hours, I was in bed lying there, like, this is fucking amazing. This is complete, pure ecstasy. I mean, this is absolute sexuality without using your dick, without busting a nut, without any of that. And now I just want to add something. I have a lot of practice and a lot of experience with, like, tantric type sexual behaviors, like non-orgasmic sexuality. I mean, that's one of my fucking passions and my niches. I mean, I'll make a video about this too. But so I have a lot of experience in non-ejaculatory sexuality. A lot. I mean, that's really. I mean, I have a lot of experience in that shit, and I work hard to do that. So I can really, honestly, go for hours in a sexual state without busting a nut. And never busting a nut. Choosing when I want to and shit. But this was like a complete orgasmic, complete divine, cosmic, orgasmic, full body sexuality experience. I mean, completely, it was completely, but I mean, I had to surrender to it. I had to just say, fuck, okay, kill me, basically. I said, fuck it, go ahead. My mind just basically gave up. It's like, my egoic mind gave up, said, go ahead, kill me, fuck it, there's nothing left, go ahead. And finally, I allowed it to happen, and it turned into sexual ecstasy, sexual bliss, divinity. I was like, pure illumination. It's like I understood everything in the universe. I was lying there in bed in this like sexual state. My feet are feeling everything in my body, the tactile sensations, the fucking just peace, the bliss, the scent, the sexual scent, everything, every fucking physical sensation that you have was just immersed in the sexuality of this divine experience. It was so fucking crazy awesome. It was it was amazing, and it was like, you know, so I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting to talk about. You know what I mean? But it was, dude, pure. I mean, this was what every other trip was trying to fucking do to me, but I wouldn't let it. You know, this time it just did. But and the beauty of it was it was a complete surprise. I mean, I wasn't even expecting it at all to go deep. I was expecting it just to be a light, routine fucking trip. Not even a fucking deep trip. I was expecting it just to be a little fucking trip. I made it, you know, laughing a little bit. That's all I went into it with the expectation, just to fucking have it be just the periphery, man. And then what happened today was just fucking completely, not only astounding, but unexpected.